Based on the USCIS. Based on the USCIS official website, USCIS releases new data on effective reduction of backlogs, support for humanitarian missions, and fiscal responsibility. USCIS released its fiscal year, FY 2022 progress report with new information demonstrating how it reduced backlogs in certain programs and supported humanitarian missions. The report summarizes numerous steps USCIS has taken, which include strengthening its fiscal stability and implementing adjudicatory efficiencies, policy measures, and agency-wide backlog reduction efforts. Furthermore, USCIS has continued to support its humanitarian programs. Congressional support. Congressional support of the agency's FY 2023 budget request will be critical to help support humanitarian services and eliminate current backlogs based on historical data. The report also highlights how furlough notices, a hiring freeze, and drastic cuts to contract staff during the COVID-19 pandemic critically impacted USCIS's ability to keep pace with incoming applications, heightening the need for USCIS to pursue an optimal to prevent the accumulation of these backlogs in the future. In addition, USCIS expanded its existing humanitarian mission and responded to emerging priorities for the U.S. government, such as Operation Allies Welcome, Uniting for Ukraine, and the recently announced process for Venezuelans. In the months ahead, the agency plans to build on this progress by implementing premium processing for all petitions for immigrant workers and certain employment authorization applications for students and exchange visitors, establishing a permanent biometrics exemption for all applicants for change of non-immigrant status and extension of non-immigrant stay, and simplifying several common forms, including the applications for employment authorization, adjustment of status, and naturalization. Additionally, the report also shows the USCIS's advanced humanitarian mission in the future, including online filing and notices, new rulemaking, and increased staffing and public engagement. Based on Visa Bulletin. 1. Consular officers are required to report to the Department of State documentary qualified applicants for numerically limited visas. USCIS reports applicants for adjustment of status. Allocations in the charts below were made, to the extent possible, in chronological order of reported priority dates, for demand received by January 11th. The final action date for an oversubscribed category is the priority date of the first applicant who could not be reached within the numerical limits. If it becomes necessary during the monthly allocation process to regress a final action date, supplemental requests for numbers will be honored only if the priority date falls within the new final action date announced in this bulletin. If at any time an annual limit was reached, it would be necessary to immediately make the preference category unavailable, and no further requests for numbers would be honored. 2. Section 201 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, sets an annual minimum family-sponsored preference limit of 226,000. 3. INA Section 203(e) provides that family-sponsored and employment-based preference visas be issued to eligible immigrants in the order in which a petition on behalf of each has been filed. 4. Section 203(a) of the INA prescribes preference classes for allotment of family-sponsored immigrant visas as follows. First, F1, unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, 23,400 plus any numbers not required for fourth preference. Second, spouses and children, and unmarried sons and daughters of permanent residents, 114,200, plus the number, if any, by which the worldwide family preference level exceeds 226,000, plus any unused first preference numbers. F2A, spouses and children of permanent residents, 77% of the overall second preference limitation, of which 75% are exempt from the per-country limit. F2B, unmarried sons and daughters, 21 years of age or older, of permanent residents, 23% of the overall second preference limitation. Third, F3, married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, 23,400, plus any numbers not required by first and second preferences. Fourth, F4, brothers and sisters of adult U.S. citizens, 65,000, plus any numbers not required by first three preferences. A. Final action dates for family-sponsored preference cases. On the chart below, the listing of a date for any class indicates that the class is oversubscribed. C means current, i.e., numbers are authorized for issuance to all qualified applicants, and U means unauthorized, i.e., numbers are not authorized for issuance. B. Dates for filing family-sponsored visa applications. The chart below reflects dates for filing visa applications within a timeframe justifying immediate action in the application process. Applicants for immigrant visas who have a priority date earlier than the application date in the chart below may assemble and submit required documents to the Department of State's National Visa Center, following receipt of notification from the National Visa Center containing detailed instructions. The application date for an oversubscribed category is the priority date of the first applicant who cannot submit documentation to the National Visa Center for an immigrant visa. If a category is designated current, all applicants in the relevant category may file applications, regardless of priority date. The C listing indicates that the category is current, and that applications may be filed regardless of the applicant's priority date. The listing of a date for any category indicates that only applicants with a priority date that is earlier than the listed date may file their application. Employment-based preferences. First, priority workers, 28.6% of the worldwide employment-based preference level, plus any numbers not required for fourth and fifth preferences. Second, members of the professions holding advanced degrees or persons of exceptional ability, 28.6% of the worldwide employment-based preference level, plus any numbers not required by first preference. Third, skilled workers, professionals, and other workers, 28.6% of the worldwide level, plus any numbers not required by first and second preferences, not more than 10,000 of which to * other workers. Fourth, certain special immigrants, 7.1% of the worldwide level. Fifth, employment creation, 7.1% of the worldwide level, of which 32% are reserved as follows: 20% reserved for qualified immigrants who invest in a rural area, 10% reserved for qualified immigrants who invest in a high unemployment area, and 2% reserved for qualified immigrants who invest in infrastructure projects. The remaining 68% are unreserved and are allotted for all other qualified immigrants. A. Final action dates for employment-based preference cases. On the chart below, the listing of a date for any class indicates that the class is oversubscribed. See paragraph 1. C means current, i.e., numbers are authorized for issuance to all qualified applicants, and U means unauthorized, i.e., numbers are not authorized for issuance. Note, numbers are authorized for issuance only for applicants whose priority date is earlier than the final action date listed below. B. Dates for filing of employment-based visa applications. The chart below reflects dates for filing visa applications within a timeframe justifying immediate action in the application process. Applicants for immigrant visas who have a priority date earlier than the application date in the chart may assemble and submit required documents to the Department of State's National Visa Center, following receipt of notification from the National Visa Center containing detailed instructions. The application date for an oversubscribed category is the priority date of the first applicant who cannot submit documentation to the National Visa Center for an immigrant visa. If a category is designated current, all applicants in the relevant category may file, regardless of priority date. The C listing indicates that the category is current, and that applications may be filed regardless of the applicant's priority date. C. Diversity Immigrant (DV) category for the month of February. Section 203, C, of the INA provides up to 55,000 immigrant visas each fiscal year to permit additional immigration opportunities for persons from countries with low admissions during the previous 5 years. The NACRA stipulates that beginning with DV-99, and for as long as necessary, up to 5,000 of the 55,000 annually allocated diversity visas will be made available for use under the NACRA program. This will result in reduction of the DV 2023 annual limit to approximately 54,850. DV visas are divided among 6 geographic regions. No one country can receive more than 7% of the available diversity visas in any 1 year. For February, immigrant numbers in the DV category are available to qualified DV 2023 applicants chargeable to all regions/eligible countries as follows. Entitlement to immigrant status in the DV category lasts only through the end of the fiscal visa year for which the applicant is selected in the lottery. The year of entitlement for all applicants registered for the DV 2023 program ends as of September 30, 2023. DV visas may not be issued to DV 2023 applicants after that date. Similarly, spouses and children accompanying or following to join DV 2023 principals are only entitled to derivative DV status until September 30, 2023. DV visa availability through the very end of FY 2023 cannot be taken for granted. Numbers could be exhausted prior to September 30. D. The diversity DV immigrant category rank cutoffs that will apply in March. For March, immigrant numbers in the DV category are available to qualified DV 2023 applicants chargeable to all regions/eligible countries as follows. Family-sponsored second preference visa availability. Number use in the F2A category has remained steady throughout FY 2023, and it may be necessary to establish an F2A final action date as early as March to keep number use within the annual limit. This situation is being continually monitored, and any necessary adjustments will be made accordingly. Retrogression in the worldwide final action and application filing dates in the Employment Third Preference Other Workers (EU) category. Higher than expected number use in the Employment Third Preference Other Workers (EW) category, most notably amongst applicants with earlier priority dates, has necessitated further retrogressions in the worldwide final action date and application filing date for February to hold number use within the maximum allowed under the fiscal year 2023 annual limit. Except for China and India, all countries are subject to a final action date of January 1, 20 and an application filing date of February 1, 20. G. Extension of employment fourth preference certain religious workers, senior, category. The Consolidated Appropriations Act, 2023, enacted on December 29, 2022, extended the employment fourth preference certain religious workers, SR, category until September 30, 2023. As indicated in Item E of the January 2023 Visa Bulletin, the extension resulted in this category immediately becoming available, subject to the same final action dates as the other employment fourth preference categories per applicable foreign state of changeability,